My name's Ray Mercer, 52 years old, born and raised in St. Louis, the kind of town that teaches you early. You work, you show up, you don't whine. I built my life like that. Started in a machine shop at 19, took night classes, eventually opened a small specialty fabrication business, metalwork for commercial kitchens, custom rails, weird little parts nobody wants to make until they need them yesterday. It was honest work. Good work. And it built me a steady life. My wife, Jillian, liked the steady part. She liked the house in Kirkwood. The trips to Lake of the Ozarks. The way neighbors waved at her like she was somebody. I liked coming home tired and knowing I'd earned it. Then one Tuesday in March, my body decided it had its own plans. It started as fatigue I couldn't explain. Not I worked hard tired, this was bone deep, like someone had switched my batteries out for rocks. Then came the weight loss. 10 pounds, then 15. I told myself it was stress, too many late nights at the shop. But Jillian started watching me the way people watch a storm window rattle. Go to the doctor, she said, and her voice had that edge. Like she wasn't worried about me exactly, more worried about what my condition might do to the life we'd built. So I went. The doctor's name was Dr. Alan Creer. Smooth hair, smooth hands, office that smelled like lemon disinfectant and expensive candles, nothing about it felt like a place where bad news belonged. He did blood work, ordered scans, kept saying things like let's not jump to conclusions, in a tone that sounded practiced. 2 weeks later, he called me in. Jillian insisted on coming, wearing a cream-colored blouse like we were going to brunch instead of a medical appointment that might change everything. Dr. Creer didn't waste time. He pulled up images on his screen, gray shadows, bright lines, shapes I couldn't interpret. Ray, he said, using my first name like we were friends, I'm going to be blunt. That word hit harder than the images. There's a mass, he continued. And based on what we're seeing we don't have much time. Jillian's hand found my knee, squeezed too hard, nails digging through denim. I didn't feel comforted. I felt pinned. I remember staring at the screen, trying to make the shadows mean something else. Like if I looked long enough, the truth would change. Then Dr. Creer leaned forward and slid a folder across the desk. I can offer an aggressive treatment plan, he said. It's not standard, but in cases like yours we move fast. I opened the folder. The first page wasn't a medical plan. It was a number. $500,000. It was broken into categories: specialized infusion, advanced imaging, private oncology consultation, and one line that made my stomach tighten. Concierge care fee. I looked up. Insurance? He gave a small sympathetic smile, like he'd practiced it in the mirror. Insurance won't touch this. It's outside typical protocols. But I've seen remarkable outcomes. Jillian made a sound like a breath caught in her throat. Well, do whatever it takes, she said quickly. I turned to her. Something in the speed of her answer bothered me. $500,000 isn't whatever it takes money for most people. It's sell your life money. It's drain everything money. I owned property, yes. Had retirement, yes. But $500,000 meant tearing down the structure I'd spent decades building. I looked back at Dr. Creer. How much time do I have? He didn't meet my eyes right away. That's a detail I'll never forget. Doctors who tell the truth look you dead in the face when they do it. He glanced down at the folder, then back up. Months, he said. Not years. Jillian's grip tightened again. She was crying now, but it looked contained. Like her tears were doing a job. I walked out of that office in a fog. My truck felt too small. The steering wheel felt slippery under my palms. I drove home without music, without thinking, just letting the road pull me forward. That night, Jillian poured wine and sat close to me on the couch. "We can sell the cabin," she said softly. "And the rental. Well, figure it out." I nodded, but my mind was stuck on that concierge care fee. And on something else I couldn't quite name. The feeling that Dr. Creer wasn't just offering treatment. He was selling fear. 2 days later, I got a call from a number I hadn't seen in years. "Ray?" a familiar voice said. It was Dr. Marcus Hensley, an old friend from high school. We weren't the kind of friends who talked every week, but we'd kept a respectful thread through the years. Had gone into medicine. I'd gone into metal and sweat and invoices. "I heard you've been seeing Creer," Marcus said. I paused. "Yeah. How'd you, Ray?" he cut in, voice suddenly sharp. "Do not give that man a dime until you talk to me." The hair on my arms lifted. "What are you talking about?" I asked. Marcus exhaled hard. "I can't say everything over the phone. But I'm coming by tonight. And you need to be alone when we talk." I glanced at Jillian across the room. She was at the kitchen island, texting, head tilted down, face lit by her screen. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Come by." When I hung up, I felt something shift inside me. Not hope. Something colder. The sense that the real story hadn't even started yet. Marcus showed up just after dark, his old Subaru rattling into my driveway like it always had. Same car, different life. He stood on my porch with his hands in his coat pockets, eyes tired, jaw tight. This wasn't a social visit. This was a man who'd rehearsed hard truths on the drive over. "You look like hell," he said gently as I let him in. "Funny," I replied. "My doctor says I don't have much time left." Marcus didn't smile. We sat at the kitchen table. I poured coffee instead of wine. Jillian had said she was going to meet a friend for dinner, something she'd started doing more often lately. At the time, I hadn't thought much of it. Marcus waited until her car pulled out of the driveway. Then he leaned forward. "Ray," he said quietly, "what exactly did Creer tell you?" I told him everything. The scans. The mass. The months not years line. The $500,000 treatment plan. I watched Marcus' face as I spoke. It didn't mirror shock or pity. It mirrored concern. Not for me. For the situation. "Did he biopsy it?" Marcus asked. "No," I said. "He said it wasn't necessary. That imaging was enough." Marcus closed his eyes and rubbed the bridge of his nose. Jesus Christ. That was when my stomach dropped for real. "What?" I asked. He looked up at me. "Ray, imaging without biopsy doesn't give you a terminal prognosis. It gives you a suspicion. A serious one, sure, but not a death sentence." I swallowed. He sounded pretty certain. "Confidence isn't certainty," Marcus said. "It's presentation." He pulled a folded manila envelope out of his coat and slid it across the table. "What's this?" I asked. "My opinion," he said. "Unofficial. As a friend." Inside were notes. Guidelines. Printed journal excerpts with highlighted sections. I didn't understand all of it, but I understood enough. "There are multiple explanations for what you described," Marcus continued. "Some serious. Some treatable. Some inconvenient for someone selling fear." My pulse thudded in my ears. "Are you saying he's wrong?" I'm saying no ethical physician would ask for $500,000 before confirming a diagnosis. I leaned back, chair creaking. Why would he do that? Marcus hesitated. Creer's known. Not for malpractice. For something harder to pin down. He runs a boutique practice. Wealthy clients. Desperate cases. He sells certainty when people are afraid of uncertainty. I stared at the papers. So what do I do? Marcus' voice softened. You let me run proper tests. Quietly. No drama. No billing. You can't, I can, he interrupted. And I will. I laughed once, short and shaky. Why? Because you once lent me 10 grand when my residency stipend ran out, he said. And because I don't like vultures. 2 days later, I was in a different clinic across town, under Marcus' supervision. Real blood work. Real imaging. A real biopsy. The waiting was worse than the first diagnosis. Jillian asked questions I suddenly noticed were selective. When do we hear back? How bad is it really? Should we talk to a financial advisor? Not once did she ask how I felt. The results came in on a Friday afternoon. Marcus called me into his office and shut the door. You're not dying, he said. I just stared at him. You're sick, he clarified. You have a serious condition. But it's treatable. Manageable. And nowhere near terminal. I felt my chest tighten, not with fear, but with release. Like I'd been holding my breath without realizing it. How long? I asked. With treatment? He said. You'll be annoying people for decades. I laughed then. A real laugh. One that surprised me. Then Marcus' expression shifted. There's something else, he said. The room went quiet again. Creer billed your insurance for consultations he never performed, Marcus continued. And he coded your preliminary imaging in a way that exaggerates severity. It's subtle. But it's there. My relief curdled into something darker. He lied, I said. Yes, Marcus replied. And Ray, there's one more thing. He hesitated, choosing words carefully. I ran into Jillian at a medical conference last year. My stomach sank. She knew him, Marcus went on. Well. Very well. I felt cold all over. What do you mean? I mean they didn't act like strangers, he said. They acted familiar. Images started lining up in my head. Her sudden concern. Her eagerness to sell assets. Her evenings out. The way she defended Creer without question. You're saying, I'm saying you need to be very careful, Marcus said. And you need to look closely at the people who stood to gain from you believing you were dying. That night, I sat alone in my truck in the driveway, engine off, house dark. Jillian was out again. Another dinner. Another friend. I didn't go inside. I just sat there, replaying everything. The diagnosis. The number. Her grip on my knee. The speed of her agreement. $500,000. Life insurance. Property. A man who sold fear. A wife who never questioned him. I wasn't dying. But something in my life was very, very wrong. And for the first time since that invoice hit my hands, I wasn't scared anymore. I was alert. There's a moment after the truth cracks open when everything you ignored lines up like evidence on a table. Not all at once, piece by piece, slow and merciless. That weekend, I didn't confront Jillian. I didn't accuse. I didn't explode. I watched. I told her Marcus had ordered more tests. I let my voice stay uncertain. Weak. I played the part she already believed in, the scared man counting his days. She leaned into it. She started handling things for me. Bills. Appointments. Paperwork. She spoke gently, but there was an edge of efficiency to it, like she was managing a project with a deadline. I noticed how often Dr. Creer's name came up. Alan says we shouldn't wait. Alan thinks stress is making it worse. Alan mentioned a private option if insurance drags its feet. Always first name. Always certainty. Meanwhile, I did what I'd always done when something didn't sit right. I checked records. Late one night, after she'd gone to bed, I logged into our shared cloud account. Years of scanned documents sat there untouched. I searched for Creer. Dozens of hits. Emails forwarded to herself. Appointment confirmations I'd never seen. One thread titled Discretion. My chest tightened as I opened it. It wasn't explicit. It didn't need to be. Hotel receipts. Travel dates that lined up too cleanly. Messages about timing and after everything settles. One line that burned itself into my brain. Once Ray's treatment is underway, things will simplify. Simplify. I sat there in the glow of the laptop, hands resting on the keyboard, heart steady in a way that surprised me. I wasn't shocked. I was clear. The next morning, I told Jillian I was tired and wanted to stay home. She left early, kissed my forehead like she was saying goodbye to something already gone. I waited 10 minutes. Then I followed her. She didn't go to lunch. She didn't go shopping. She went to a hotel near Forest Park. I parked across the street and waited, hands loose on the steering wheel, breath slow. When I saw Dr. Creer's car pull in, something inside me finally settled into place. No anger. Just confirmation. I didn't take photos. I didn't need to. I watched them walk in together, close, familiar, unafraid. They weren't hiding. They didn't think they had to. That afternoon, I went back to Marcus' clinic. He didn't ask questions when he saw my face. He just closed the door. They're together, I said. And they planned this. Marcus exhaled slowly. Then you need to protect yourself. Legally. Financially. I will, I said. But first, I want to understand how deep it goes. That night, while Jillian slept beside me, I lay awake listening to her breathing. I thought about all the little moments I'd brushed aside. Her sudden impatience. Her new clothes. Her insistence that I trust Creer without question. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd positioned herself. Over the next week, I quietly gathered everything. Emails. Billing statements. Insurance explanations. The altered codes Marcus had pointed out. A timeline that showed how my terminal decline matched the beginning of their relationship. I didn't store it on my computer. I stored it off-site. Because men who think they're dying don't need evidence. Men who realize they were almost erased do. Then I did something Jillian never expected. I told her I was ready to move forward with Creer's treatment. Her reaction was immediate: relief, excitement, something close to triumph. Really? She asked. I'll call him. Please do, I said softly. 2 days later, we were back in Creer's office. Same lemon smell. Same calm confidence. Same practiced sympathy. He smiled when he saw me. Ray. I'm glad you've made peace with this. That sentence told me everything I needed to know. I nodded. I just want to understand the treatment better. For my peace of mind. He didn't hesitate. He launched into explanations that sounded impressive and vague at the same time. Words like innovative and proprietary. Jillian watched him like he was already saving my life. I waited until he finished. Then I asked one question. Why didn't you order a biopsy? The room shifted. Creer blinked once. It wasn't necessary. It was, I said calmly. According to current standards. Jillian turned toward me, confused. Ray, I had one, I continued. At another clinic. Creer's smile tightened. Second opinions can be misleading. Mine says I'm not terminal, I said. And that your coding exaggerated my condition. Silence. Jillian stared at me. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm not dying, I replied. And I'm saying you knew. Creer leaned back in his chair, eyes sharp now. No warmth left. This conversation isn't appropriate, he said. Oh, it is, I replied. Because I have records. And so does my insurance provider. And so does another physician. Jillian stood up. Ray, stop. I looked at her then. Really looked. You were ready to spend $500,000 to save a man who wasn't dying, I said quietly. Or were you ready to profit from one who thought he was? Her face drained of color. Creer cleared his throat. I think you should leave. I stood. We will, I said. But this isn't over. Outside, Jillian exploded. How could you embarrass me like that? She shouted. After everything Eve done for you. I didn't raise my voice. You didn't think I'd check, I said. You didn't think I'd live long enough to matter. She slapped me. Hard. And in that moment, with my cheek burning and the truth fully exposed, I understood something important. They hadn't just tried to steal my money. They'd tried to steal my end. And I wasn't finished yet. After the slap, everything slowed down. Not in a dramatic way, no tunnel vision, no ringing ears. Just a strange clarity, like my mind finally stopped trying to protect something that no longer deserved it. People were staring. A nurse had frozen near the door. Someone down the hall pretended not to notice. Jillian's hand hung in the air for half a second after it hit my face. I watched her realize what she'd done. Ray, she said quickly, reaching for me. Don't, I replied. My voice was steady, and that seemed to scare her more than if I'd yelled. We left without another word. The drive home was silent. Jillian stared out the window, arms crossed tight like she was bracing against cold. I focused on the road, every red light feeling deliberate, every mile a line being drawn. That night, I didn't sleep in our bed. I packed a bag and took the guest room. She cried. Apologized. Tried anger when guilt didn't work. I didn't engage. Because I wasn't sorting feelings anymore. I was sorting facts. The next morning, I called Marcus. I need to document everything, I said. I already started, he replied. And Ray, you're not the only one he's done this to. That stopped me. What do you mean? Creer's name comes up in quiet conversations, Marcus said. Wealthy patients. Terminal language. Massive out-of-pocket options. Most don't survive long enough to question it. The ones who do usually settle. Settle. I felt my jaw tighten. Not this time. Over the next 2 weeks, I moved like a man building a case, not a marriage. I met with an attorney, calm, surgical, uninterested in drama. She didn't ask how I felt about Jillian. She asked what I could prove. I gave her everything. Emails. Billing codes. Timelines. Insurance explanations. Marcus' formal report. And, eventually, something Jillian never imagined I'd find. A life insurance policy. Taken out quietly. Updated recently. Beneficiary changed. Not to her. To a trust. A trust Creer had access to. That was the moment something inside me went completely still. Not rage. Finality. When I confronted Jillian with it, she didn't deny it. She collapsed into a chair like the air had been sucked out of her. It wasn't supposed to be like this, she whispered. He said it was just precautionary. That if things went bad, it would make everything easier. For who? I asked. She didn't answer. I moved out that day. Not because I was broken, but because I was done pretending this was salvageable. The legal process unfolded quietly after that. No shouting matches. No threats. Just documents moving from one desk to another. Regulatory boards were notified. Insurance companies asked questions. Hospitals reviewed records. Creer stopped returning calls. Jillian tried to reconcile, then threaten, then bargain. She cycled through every version of herself I'd seen over 20 years, and a few I hadn't. None of them mattered anymore. One afternoon, Marcus called me. They've suspended him, he said. Pending investigation. I closed my eyes and let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. And Jillian? I asked. She's cooperating, he said carefully. Because she has to. The house sold. Assets were divided. The marriage ended without fireworks. Quiet consequences are the ones that echo. Months later, I ran into Jillian at the grocery store. She looked smaller. Less polished. Real. She tried to smile. You look good, she said. So do you, I replied. And I meant it, not kindly, not cruelly. Just honestly. She hesitated. I never wanted you to get hurt. I met her eyes. You just didn't mind if I disappeared. She nodded once, tears forming, and walked away. That night, I sat alone on the porch of my new place, a small rental near the river. I listened to cicadas and thought about how close I'd come to believing a story designed to end me early. I wasn't dying. But I had almost been erased. By a man who sold certainty. And a woman who traded love for convenience. The truth hadn't saved me. Attention had. And as the sun went down, I realized something I'd carry with me forever. When someone convinces you that you're running out of time, they can make you give up everything, unless you stop long enough to ask who benefits from the clock. The strange thing about surviving something you were told would kill you is that the world doesn't stop to applaud. No music swells. No one hands you a medal. Morning still comes, coffee still needs pouring, and the sun still rises like it always has. Only now, every ordinary moment feels borrowed, in the best possible way. 6 months after everything unraveled, I sat in Marcus' office again. Same chair. Same desk. Different weight in my chest. My treatment was working. Slowly, steadily, honestly. No miracle cures. No secret invoices. Just medicine, discipline, and time, real time, not the kind someone tries to sell you at a premium. You're doing well, Marcus said, tapping my chart. Better than expected. I smiled. Funny how expectations change when they're not designed to scare you. He nodded. That's the business some people are in. We didn't say Creer's name. We didn't need to. His license had been suspended indefinitely. Investigations were ongoing. Quiet ones. The kind that don't make headlines but end careers. Jillian finalized the divorce without a fight. She didn't contest anything. She couldn't afford to, legally or morally. The trust was dissolved. The policy rewritten. Whatever future shed imagined collapsed under the weight of exposure. I didn't celebrate that. I just let it be. I moved again, this time by choice, into a modest house near the Mississippi. Brick. Small yard. Nothing fancy. But every nail, every creak, every square foot felt honest. I went back to my shop too. Reduced hours. Fewer jobs. Better ones. I started teaching a couple of younger guys the trade, things nobody teaches you anymore, like how to listen to metal, how to feel when something's right before the numbers confirm it. One afternoon, as I was closing up, one of them asked me why I looked so calm all the time. I thought about it for a second. Because I was once told my clock was almost empty, I said. Turns out, it wasn't. Makes you careful about how you spend the minutes. Sometimes, late at night, I still replay that first appointment. The lemon scent. The folder. The number printed so confidently it almost felt official. $500,000 for fear. I think about how close I came to believing that my life was already ending, and how easily people around me were willing to move forward without me. That's the part that stays with you. Not the betrayal itself. But how quietly it happens when you stop being useful. I don't hate Jillian. Hate requires energy, and I've learned energy is a finite resource. I don't miss her either. What I miss, what I mourn, is the version of myself that trusted without verifying, that believed love automatically meant protection. That man didn't die. He learned. One evening, I ran into Marcus at a bar near the river. We sat outside, beers sweating in the warm air. You know, he said, most people never find out the truth. They just live inside whatever story they're handed. Or die inside it, I replied. He clinked his bottle against mine. You didn't. No, I said. I slowed down. That's the real gift I got back, not years, not health, not even clarity. Time to question. Time to notice. Time to ask the uncomfortable follow-up when someone tells you the worst thing imaginable and then hands you a bill. I wake up early now. Walk along the water. Watch the fog lift. I don't rush mornings anymore. I don't assume tomorrows. But I don't fear them either. Because once you've stared at an ending that wasn't real, you learn something permanent. Life doesn't usually get stolen from you all at once. It gets negotiated away, by fear, by trust given too cheaply, by people who benefit from your silence. I didn't lose my life. I almost signed it away. And I won't make that mistake again.